a temporary abode where the living beings who are conditioned by material consciousness come and they perform activities that are conditioned by goodness, passion, and ignorance. And this is the foundation of the law of karma. Okay? The karma that we experience in this material world has three flavors: goodness, passion, and ignorance. And we're going to devote quite some time today to discussing those three qualities. So, everybody got this? Yes?
How many years is that, like when they destroy everything and then bring it back?
The material creation exists for approximately 511 trillion years.
Wow, that's
From the beginning to the end. That system that we were talking about yesterday of the yugas, the Mahayugas, and chakras and all of that. See, the way it works is, what do we figure? About 5.5 million years is one cycle of 4 yugas. And 22 of those cycles is one Divya Yuga. And 21 Divya Yugas is one Manvantara, or the period of time of one Manu. And 24 Manus is one day of Brahma. And then Brahma goes to sleep, and for an equivalent amount of time he sleeps, and the material manifestation just dissolves, because he's not keeping it in place, so it just goes back into its original elements. Then again Brahma wakes up and recreates everything, and then for another equivalent period of time everything is manifest. So Brahma lives for 100 years, like that. So each one of those, is so many millions and billions of years, each day of Brahma. I think the day of Brahma is something like 16 billion years long, and then his night is about the same. So then he lives for 100 of those years, 360 days in a year. So the whole thing comes to 511 trillion years or something like that. So, yeah, we all have to look at this again and again. This is a very complicated system, and it has to be like that. Well, we have a diagram already, Connor. It's on the astrology course, and we went over it a couple of weeks back when we did the last class in the Introduction to Jyotish course. It's the ontological diagram of Vaikuntha. So this is all drawn from Srimad Bhagavatam, the 3rd canto, which describes the creation.
So, you said under the dotted line is the material world, so is under the do they actually have material bodies?
Yes. They have material bodies, but their bodies are very subtle. They're not made of, gross earth, air, fire, water, or atoms, They're made of energy, but it's material energy. Excuse me. The main thing to remember from all of this is that everything that exists is Krishna's energy. And there's different flavors of that energy for different purposes of the creation, maintenance, and destruction of the material world. So basically, Krishna doesn't do anything. Krishna is God on vacation. He just enjoys. He just parties. He just hangs out with his devotees in the spiritual world. And he doesn't have to do anything because he expands himself in different forms to actually do the work of creation and maintenance, expansion and contraction and all of the things that have to go on. He does that through his proxies, through his expansions. His expansions, remember, are svangsa. They're integrated expansions. They have the same personality, the same consciousness. They're just different forms. And those forms perform different specific functions in the spiritual world and in the material world. So it's a whole system, a whole very complex system. Just like if you have a large company, you have the board of directors and the president, and then you have the vice president of marketing, the vice president of technology, the vice president of this, the vice president of that. And it's like the CEO basically just shows up and makes the big speeches and gets all the credit. And the actual work is done by the different executives, the committees, and the employees, right? So, you know, the CEO is basically like a figurehead. He doesn't really do that much work. His work is in the conceptual realm. So similarly, Krishna, his work, or his function, is that he is worshipped. He is the object of worship. And the other personalities of Godhead worship him and serve him according to their various capacities. So that's the nature of the Supreme Person. Krishna being the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That's what that means. He receives all the worship. He accepts all the service that the other expansions of Godhead render according to their specific potencies and positions like that. So this is the Vedic system. It's very sophisticated, very nice. And it creates potential or possibilities for every living soul to have exactly the kind of existence that they want. Exactly the kind of flavor of activities, exactly the kind of consciousness, the kind of aesthetics that they would like to have. Anything that we want to enjoy, we can enjoy, but we can enjoy it in the spiritual world. We don't have to come to this material world to enjoy. We can enjoy in cooperation with God, and we can experience life in any way that we want. There's no limits. Is there a question? Can you comment on the difference in time in different layers of material reality? Yes. Generally speaking, the higher that we are on this chart, the longer the time span that we're talking about. I think, for example, it's given in the Vedas that the year of a demigod is, 100 years on the Earth planet, or 1 day in the planets of the demigods. And of course, in the spiritual world, it's even more than that. Remember when Lord Brahma came and stole the cows, the calves, and the cowherd boys from Krishna as a trick to test him? And Brahma went away for one moment. A truti is in Sanskrit. Truti is the time it takes to snap your fingers. So Brahma went away for one moment and came back. But by Earth time, that was 1 year. So Brahma's time is even longer time span, because he lives for the whole duration of the universe. But to him, that seems like 100 years would seem to us. Okay? So there's different time scales on different levels of the universe. And then, of course, once you get to the spiritual world, everything is eternal. But the relativity of time in the spiritual world to the material world is even greater. It's even more than that. So even just a moment in the spiritual world is like thousands and thousands of years in the material world.
I was going to ask you, how do souls decide to come down into the physical world?
Well, like I said, we have free will.
Oh,
We
so
can
all
decide.
come to-
From this point of view,
Yeah.
it's very high. The soul has a lot more powers, a lot more abilities, a lot higher consciousness in the spiritual world. So from that point of view, the material world looks like, just this insignificant little thing. It's like, oh, I can go there and I can be a big fish in a small pond. It's an illusion.
Because then you lose consciousness when you go into the physical.
Of course, because then you're within the covering of the material elements, and your natural spiritual intelligence gets covered over by a material body and mind, and then you lose all those powers, you see.
And the way to get it back is through chanting and meditation?
Yeah, that's how we get out of this material world, get back to the spiritual world. Yeah? So this process means it's a process of elevation from the lower realms of the material world back to the spiritual world, which is our real home. What's that? Ah, yeah, very good. Yeah, we have pictures, Connor, on our astrology course. The yeah, right. The Transcendentology site has that one. Very good. Maybe I should display it here so everybody can see it. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Oh, let's see. How am I going to display this? Well, that's not really the one I was thinking about. I was thinking, yeah, here's the one.